We are on location in Prince George with Kyndra Farrell today. She is 26 years old, the owner of two businesses in town here in Prince George, Worth a Shot Mobile Bar and Champagne Events, and I'm really excited to talk to you about both of those events, or both of those businesses, sorry. Kyndra, thank you for coming on the show today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah, so 26 years old, and you've already got two businesses running.
Yeah, well, actually a third. I have three companies. My first one was my husband's and mine, but yeah, two that I call my babies.
Yeah, and they're kind of woven together in a way, but two totally separate businesses as well, totally different concepts. Yeah. So, Champagne Events, an event planning company, and then Worth a Shot Mobile Bar, which I think is such a cool concept and cool idea. I've never seen anything like it, but it's like a food truck, but a drink truck. Yeah. So, which one of those came first?
First was Worth a Shot, and that actually came, I think we're almost on 5 years now. So it's been in the community for quite some time. And it actually kind of just started up as I was getting engaged and looking for services locally, and I found out quickly that there was nothing that I would be able to hire for my wedding that would do what my bar does. And so with a business background, I decided this is something that I think would be really beneficial in the North, and something that not only will help me with my wedding, but I can start helping other people with their weddings and events, and then it grew quickly from that.
Yeah. Did you actually use it at your wedding?
I didn't end up using the bartending trailer at my wedding. I did have my staff come and serve at my wedding, but I had actually already booked the trailer for another wedding on my wedding day. So I ended up just saying, you know what, they can have the trailer and I'll just have one of my bartenders. So.
Okay. And then we're going to come back to talk about that a little bit, but then Champagne Events, so that came next. That was a little bit later, like a couple years later?
Yeah, it was one of those things where it came from Worth a Shot, and just enough so that I was starting to notice people asking for help with stuff and saying, hey, you're doing the bar, how do I do this? And what do people usually do for this? And then it made me realize this is actually something that, one, I'll be able to get paid for instead of just giving my time away. And two, the community needed it as well.
Yeah. How do you like that event planning?
That's actually what I do primarily now. Like, I still prep for every event that happens, but I'm not out bartending at events anymore. I'm pretty much just solely doing event planning, and I love it.
Yeah. So you now delegate that to your staff for the bartending? Yeah.
Yeah, for the most part. Like, I do a lot of the drop-offs, and I set a lot of things up for those events, but I'm not typically on location for the actual event.
Yeah. When you plan an event, is your mobile bar there kind of as a piece that you kind of add on?
Yeah, I've done it a couple times where there's packages that people can get where they can have both services kind of tied into one, but sometimes it'll just be the bar, and sometimes it'll just be the trailer, and then other times it's both. Yeah.
Gonna think about adding a fourth business into the mix somehow that kind of covers something else to do with weddings? Or?
Slowly working on it, but
are you really?
Yeah, well, it's just I love running businesses and continuing to see where things are being missed, and so we do plan on kind of expanding our businesses and continuing to grow and pivot with the industry. So we do have a couple other things that we've been talking about that just aren't quite ready to go yet.
Oh yeah. Any of them you want to talk about, or?
I'm keeping it under wraps for now, but at a later date we'll definitely talk more about it.
Fair enough. Yeah. About the event planning, let's kind of talk about the process of that. I can't imagine the amount of work that goes into planning a wedding. I mean, I know brides are looking a year out already or more, right? Yeah. Planning their weddings. So for you though, as a planner, like, there must be a ton of stuff for you to have to kind of take care of for them, right?
Yeah, and that's exactly it. I take care of pretty much everything that I could possibly take care of for the couple. I don't want them to stress. I don't want them to feel overwhelmed. And so I can help them from the very beginning, or if they're just wanting support for the day of so that they're not left with the tasks of setting up and dealing with vendors, then I can do that as well. So very much full service, but customizable to their needs.
Okay, so take me through that process a little bit. A bride calls you up and says, hey, I'm getting married in 1 year. and I want you to help me. Where do you even start? How do you get started? And how does it all come together?
Well, weddings are one thing, and I think that that's people put so much effort and focus on weddings that they want it to be perfect and nothing can go wrong. So we just kind of start off by figuring out what their vision is and what their needs are. And then from there, we kind of create a custom plan to make sure that they feel like everything's being dealt with the whole process, because that's the last thing I want is people to be nervous that something's missing. And then really just checking my list off and slowly acquiring vendors and making sure that we've got the layout for the space and working with all of the different spinning wheels to make sure that everything comes together and becomes a really smooth, well-oiled machine.
Yeah, let's talk about some of those spinning wheels.
Yeah.
What is involved in it? I mean, and don't hold back. Like, I'd like to hear some stories. I'd like to hear some like things where things went really well or things went totally terrible. It's
See,
kind of take me into it.
I haven't had much for horrible stories, and I think that's just because I'm so type A that I don't let things happen that shouldn't be happening, and if they do, they're very minor things that get corrected very quickly. But there's been lots of wonderful things that have happened, and just things that turn out to become better than we could have imagined that they would be. There's so many to think about. It's hard to even come up with like a specific example for you. But a good thing, so we've had lots of weddings where, you know, the weather's not super great and you've got to just kind of pivot with what you're expecting to happen and then what can go wrong and what can go good. And we get it once in a while, just this last summer where I did a wedding out at one of these beautiful private properties. There's so many in Prince George that they use them as wedding venues in the summer. And this one day, it was pretty much the earlier couple of months of the summer, this last summer, were so much rain. And we had one day where the couple, it was raining in the morning and they were like, okay, well, what do we do? Like, how do we plan for this? So we ended up getting all the backup stuff and making sure they had, you know, the tent set up and the umbrellas, and, you know, we wiped all the seats down right before the ceremony happened and we got it all ready to go. And then as the bride walked out for the ceremony, the rain stopped, like it just completely stopped. They had the ceremony, they had their first kiss, and they started walking down the aisle and the rain started pouring again. So it was just one of those perfectly planned, like you couldn't plan it. We planned everything we could to make sure that it didn't, you know, affect anything, and then all of a sudden it was like all of that work we did to make sure that it would still run smoothly. It was just like, you know, the weather decided to cooperate for that 20 minutes and then it was over.
That's crazy. You hear about stories like that, but you never imagine them like actually happening, eh?
Yeah, it just came together. It was crazy. You couldn't have asked for a better turnout for that.
Yeah. So for like a bride and groom who like don't have a planner, like holy cow, like what would they even do in that situation? They'd have to find somebody who rents tents and other stuff to keep dry. Like it'd be so hard. But then there's you, who you've probably got a couple different options on speed dial, and you can kind of get it. Yeah. Right on. Well, they must appreciate that. Huge lifesaver, right?
Yeah, it's a big thing. Lots of people don't realize how much it actually benefits them to have that kind of support and it not falling onto, you know, the sister or the mom or somebody who should be meant to enjoy the day and not have to stress about stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, and I know you also do destination weddings.
Yeah.
So you've been, what's the furthest you've been from Prince George?
So I keep it in BC currently. I've just had a small baby and I didn't want to travel too far or too fast. I think I'll start going a little bit overseas eventually, but furthest in BC, I did, like I've done weddings in Terrace, I've done weddings in Salmon Arm, Fort St. John, and then kind of a lot more local and, you know, district-wide to Vanderhoof, Fraser Lake, Fort St. James, Burns Lake, all of those areas close by as well.
Oh yeah. How does planning something like in another city work for you?
See, I have a really good group of vendors locally that I know very well, and that really saves a lot of time when it comes to, you know, sourcing and then just even connecting and maintaining, you know, timelines and whatnot with vendors. When it comes to different cities and not knowing those people right offhand necessarily if it's the first time I've been in a community, there's just a lot more research that goes into making sure that we've selected the right vendors, that we know that they're going to show up and be what we need. And so it's just time and effort that goes into that, quite a bit of it.
So if there's like, let's say you're in Terrace, right, and you're doing a wedding, and you have the same situation where it looks like the weather's not going to cooperate. Have you already done all your research to find out, here's some backup plans for?
Yep, exactly that. We always have a contingency plan. Whatever we think is going to happen, best case scenario, there's always a worst case scenario that I've planned for as well, to make sure that even if, the day is set to go perfectly and one thing goes wrong, there's always something that I'm able to go, hey, we can correct it with this, and it's very quick.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever been surprised? Okay, let's not surprised. Let's go back to your very first wedding. You remember the very first wedding you've ever planned?
Yep.
Yeah. How were the nerves on that? Like being at that event, making sure everything was going to go tick-tock just as it was supposed to go.
It was kind of scary. So my wedding was actually the week before the first wedding that I coordinated. So I had just had that in my back pocket and was like, okay, well, I've done all the training and I've had all of this happen, and I did my wedding. Well, I didn't work my wedding, but got to be there, got to be a part of it. And the following weekend was that first wedding that I coordinated, and I just took a lot of what I had, like real world practice with, planning my wedding and getting all of that stuff done, and to actually bringing it into fruition and making sure that it worked for that couple as well. It was just keeping the nerves to a minimum and as low down as possible, so that no one else sees that I'm, nervous, and just making sure that it worked really well for them. So I just kept at it like that.
Yeah, that's one thing that I've noticed about people who have a huge role like that, like any like photographers, the officiants, the planners. They always seem like they're so cool all the time, and they're able to bring that stress level down in a lot of people. How much of that is like fake? Like you're just like, I need to do whatever I can to calm the bride down and make sure the groom gets here on time or whatever?
I'd say for the most part, like even in those higher stress situations where you're expected to like, oh my God, like this is crazy and how is this happening right now? You just kind of, like I've done over 100 weddings now. So being at all of these weddings, and there's been so many things where it's, okay, this went wrong and this went right. You just kind of, there's not a lot that phases you at that point. It's just like, okay, it's just another wedding. Yeah, something might not go to plan, but we can make sure that regardless, there's nothing that's going to go wrong. And so I'd say for the most part, I am pretty cool under the pressure. And if I'm giving that outward face, then everyone else is going to be like, oh, okay, the wedding planner's not stressed out. None of us should be stressed out. And so I have had to fake it a few times, but for the most part, it's not usually a problem for me.
Oh, that's good. That's good to hear. Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about a situation where you get hired to do, an event like this, and then you get into it a little bit and you're like, this is not going to work out. Have you ever had that situation where you've basically had to like let a couple go, like fire them?
No, I am still waiting for the day where I get like a bridezilla or like someone that I don't actually think I can drive with. I haven't had it yet though. Like I think I've just been really lucky with the brides that outsource me and come and connect with me. I always do a consultation just to make sure that we are compatible, because the last thing I want to do is work with someone that doesn't like me, which I haven't had yet, but I do try to make sure that I know that it's going to be a good relationship, because with being with me the whole day on their wedding, it's got to be somebody that they are happy to be around and excited to spend the day with. And it makes a way different wedding day when you can actually like have fun with your vendors that you hire. And I think that's so important, to have a good relationship with your vendors, because it changes the day if you don't.
Yeah. There must be so much so much weight that you like take off of them, like to just take care of stuff for them.
I'd like to think so.
Yeah. So when you're kind of like running events like this, there's got to be so much going on behind the scenes that nobody knows about except you.
Yeah.
Like do you leverage technology in what you do? Like apps or spreadsheets, databases, like anything like that?
Yeah, I try to use, like, I try to keep it pretty simple. Like, I know I am a millennial, or maybe not even a millennial. I might be a Gen Z. I'm somewhere close in between there. But I try to use technology to my advantage. I'm not super great with everything, so I do use certain apps. Like, I've got Task World for all my scheduling, and I've got posting software, and I've got a bunch of spreadsheets just through Excel and Google Spreadsheets. And everything that I use within those databases is essentially to help me with making sure that the timelines and everything is super easy for me to connect with and get it sorted out. But also I try to make sure that the couples can use that same software as well, so that we're both on the same page, everyone knows what's going on, and it's just super easy and straightforward. I'd like to say one day I'll get even better with technology and use it a bit more to my advantage, but for now what I'm doing works. It might just take a little longer.
Yeah, yeah. Well, cool. Those things that you mentioned are pretty common. Like a lot of people will use Google Sheets and stuff. I use it sometimes almost daily. So yeah, it's just a good tool to kind of help you keep organized and keep things straight. And I know with you, like, you can't forget something, right? Even if something gets brought up and it might seem like it's the smallest detail, you probably have to write it down, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm old school. I have my, I probably go through 20 notebooks a year, just jotting everything down, making sure I've got it all. It doesn't stay in my head quite as long as I'd like it to, so those books are very important.
Yeah. So you said you were just out for coffee and you ran into someone named Natalie, and she did a podcast with me just a few days ago. And she was talking about her business with the planning that she does events. And she said she has sticky notes everywhere, all over her house.
Yeah.
Is that you?
I don't have sticky notes so much. I use my phone quite a bit, so I use the notes app like religiously. I probably have close to like 2,000 notes on my phone, so quite a few. Sticky notes would probably be my. I'd lose track of them. I'd lose them. The dogs would eat them. Like, wouldn't be good for me.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't work with me either. I definitely like putting things into my phone and then being able to just have quick access to it right now.
Yeah.
That idea you get while you're wandering the aisles and Staples, right? Looking at a chair and you go, hey, I just thought of something.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about Worth a Shot. When I first heard about that, I heard about it maybe 2 or 3 years ago. You said you've had it for 5 years?
Yeah, so I think this is our 5th season. For weddings, I go by the season. So it's our 5th season. I think it might actually be like 4.5 years this February. Okay. So close to 5, but not quite.
Okay. Because when I heard about it being like a mobile bar service, I've told people it's like a food truck with drinks, right? That's the way I describe it anyway. And it just sounds like such a fun idea to be able to have a truck that kind of will roll up. It's a trailer, right? So it's a trailer. And people can just come in and order drinks. Now, do you have anything special there that's kind of makes you unique over, a typical service like that?
Yeah, well, we did start off as the only one that was in northern BC for trailers. There's a couple people that do bartending on the side kind of thing, but our trailer is essentially a bar on wheels. So everything that's in the trailer, from our slush machines to our full power grid, so that we can run our smoothies if people want smoothies, and just having power and being able to make the bellinis and put alcohol in the fridge or use our keg system. All of that is basically run through the trailer, and it makes a huge difference when you are having a wedding out in a field and want to make sure that you can still have a cold beer or something on tap. And so pulling it up, getting it set up, and serving out of there, world of difference. And people really enjoy it. Yeah.
So that's got to be pretty fun if you're, showing up at, on a beach somewhere, or like you said, out on a field. Not too many beaches around Prince George. But if you're just showing up for like some kind of party or some kind of event that's totally off-grid, that's totally doesn't have electricity, you're able to run that and operate it and provide that service like like all night long type of thing, or?
Yeah, pretty much. Like it's as late as the host wants to go. We don't typically go and do like public events where we're serving alcohol. There's a lot of like legalities behind it, and there's certain like legislation in BC that's different, like province by province. So we do get hired out for every event that we do, and then it's typically ran off of like a permit, or if it's there's different restrictions for different spaces within if it's public or private or a residential property. So it kind of changes how we operate things, but there's always somebody that hires us and says, hey, we want you here till 1 a.m, and so we'll stay there as late as they want us, and then we shut it down and make sure everyone has a safe ride home, and nobody gets hurt.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, fun idea. What kind of, like you mentioned slushy machine? I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
So like you can make, like, what do you make with that?
Bellinis are really popular. We'll do like a margarita, pina coladas, daiquiris. It's pretty much endless in options for people to have a nice, fun, summery drink that cools them off real good.
Yeah, cool. Okay, right on. Yeah. So, 2 businesses, you're 26 years old, successful businesses. Have you done 100 weddings or just 100 events?
100 weddings.
Wow.
I think we're getting close to maybe, I would have to look on my software for sure, but I think we'll probably hit 500 events in the new year at some point.
Wow. That's so many. Like,
yeah.
If my math is correct, it's about 20 a year. So, but I imagine you started off with just a few, and then you've gotten.
Yep.
So you're probably pretty busy now with weddings every year, eh?
Yeah, I think our first year, like we started quite a bit later in the summer. I wanted to make sure that the trailer was pristine and ready to go before we started actually advertising events. And when we announced the trailer, it was beginning of August, I believe, and so we only did 3 weddings that summer. But after announcing that the service was in Prince George, just on our social media, in the first 3 days we had over 20,000 interactions with the post, and I had a booking every single weekend from that weekend till I think the middle of October. So 3 weddings that year, but quite a few events, and every year we've at least doubled in size for how many events we're taking on.
Oh yeah. Have you found Prince George pretty accommodating to you and your business, eh?
Yeah, I think so. It's a great community, and people are extremely supportive of our services, but even just friends and family, and everybody wants to see it succeed, and that's made a huge difference too.
Yeah. How have you found starting those businesses at such a young age?
I think that I grew up in Fraser Lake, and I grew up with my father. He owns his own business, and my aunt and my grandparents, they've all been entrepreneurs my whole life. So I kind of think it was something that was almost inevitable to happen, and I just needed to find something that I was passionate about, or something that I knew was going to be a useful service in the community. And so, being 21 and starting things out, I wasn't really affected by, I'm too young, nobody's going to take it seriously. I was just like, I know that this is going to be something that is really great, and nothing's going to stop me from making it happen.
Oh yeah, it's neat how family kind of growing up in an environment like that. There's so much stuff passed on to you that you don't even realize at the time, right?
Yeah.
Were you like the little kid running around the shop of like family story, anything like that?
Oh yeah. When I was really little, like my grandparents are almost like serial entrepreneurs. They, when I was really little, owned like a flower shop, and then as I grew up, they owned a pub and then a hotel. So over the years, I've been in every space that they have owned and operated, and I even, when I was a teenager, worked for them for a couple of years. So I remember being 4 years old in their pub, and I had a notepad, and I'd go over to the tables and ask their order and scribble something down, and I wasn't actually taking orders, but people loved it, and they'd give me a little tip, and I'd go and buy some chocolates or whatever it was, but I was always in and around those spaces.
Oh yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah, it's really fun.
Yeah. So like you said, it's inevitable that you would kind of grow into doing something like that, and
Yeah.
And then you grew up like providing service, which is like,
Yeah.
like that's totally what you're providing. You're providing service both businesses,
Yeah.
and you're taking on a lot with the event planning.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's huge. Yeah, totally grew up in that environment, and that was totally passed on to you. And
Yeah, and I think like growing up in rural northern BC was another thing that I think fed into starting these businesses. Was I remember just not having the same access to resources or services in the community that I was growing up in, and it just being so, so much of a letdown, and just it really doesn't feel great to not be able to have the same things that the bigger city centers have. So I was very keen on recognizing things that weren't happening or going well, and making sure that, correct the problem, make sure that the service is there, and then people can enjoy it exactly how I wanted them to.
yeah. With that being kind of important to you in life, have you ever thought of maybe stepping into a role of, teaching or inspiring young people to kind of like start businesses themselves?
Yeah, and it's funny you say that, because so when I moved to Prince George, I went to the College of New Caledonia first, and then I transferred over to UNBC after I had received my diploma in business administration. And at the college, though, that was like, I didn't know that I was going to own a business at the time. I just took the business program because it was something out of high school, and I didn't think that I was quite ready for university, so I almost took it as like a transition, make sure I get my grades up and enjoy what I'm doing before I stick with it for long term and make a degree out of it. And so I went to the college, and it was at the college where I really started excelling in business courses, and I ended up on the business competition team. I was recruited by the school. Then we ended up going and competing in Kelowna, and we took home an insane amount of awards. And that was kind of where I was like, okay, I'm really good at this, and I loved what I was doing, and so I have a really good connection with the college, and I'd love to one day maybe teach a couple courses and show kids that. You doesn't matter how old you are, doesn't matter what your background is, you are just as capable as anybody else.
Yeah. Could you imagine getting into like business administration, like teaching that?
I think it'd be fantastic. Yeah, I would love to do something like that. I'm thinking maybe in a couple of years I'll start branching into it, and then seeing if the college would want to have me. I mean, they've had me back for. I did a seminar for them just with the students on one of the intro days. And I did a presentation about how they can excel at the college, and even just doing that was really fun.
Yeah. What about just like young women in business and stuff like that? Is that something you'd focus on too?
Oh yeah, when I was at the college, I tried, like they have a students union there, and a couple of years in a row, I was trying to be the student representative for the business program, and then women's representative specifically. Mm-hmm. I got beat out both times, and it was whatever, but that was something that I was like really excited to try to be a part of, and so I'd be so happy to go back and do something like that again.
Yeah, that'd be really neat. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what did you do at the university?
So at the university, I transferred over there technically I think I got 2 years worth of credits that transferred over from the college. So I went up there and I did my BCom. So I have I'm not actually quite finished that program yet either. I got pregnant and then decided to take a bit of a step back from school because I was doing a full-time 40-hour job, plus all of my company stuff, plus pregnant, plus I was sitting on various boards. So I was like, I need to tone it down a little bit and make it so that this baby is not in a very stressful environment. Yeah. So I probably will go back to the university here maybe in the new year, or maybe give it a little bit more of a break, but I'll eventually get back there and finish my degree.
Wow. You're doing a 40-hour-a-week job while you're running 2 businesses.
Yeah. Yeah, and I do the admin work for my husband's company too, so I pile it on pretty thick.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Yeah.
Sounds like you don't have a lot of free time then.
I do more so now, because I have taken those steps back, but I think I'm also just one of those people that if my day isn't busy from 6 in the morning till 10 o'clock at night, then it wasn't a successful day. Like I'm still just stuck in that mindset. So I do a lot of things in a day to make sure that I feel like it was an accomplished day.
Oh yeah. When you do get a chance to step away, like what do you like to do?
Free time, I really just enjoy spending time with my family. We have a bit of a homestead at my house as well. We've got pigs and chickens, and so we do all of that stuff. And I have a garden, and so I do those things. And then I do really enjoy just using the northern space to my advantage too. Like I love hiking, and I love going fishing and swimming and hunting. So I like to be out in the environment a lot too as well.
You like hunting?
Yeah, my
Wow.
husband and I go hunting every fall, and we usually do pretty well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Do you like, what do you look for? Moose, elk?
Moose, elk, deer, all three of them. Those are kind of the main ones that we go for. Like I haven't been on any sheep hunts or any crazy, big hunts like that. But in Fraser Lake, we have a really good deer supply, so that's usually where I end up going.
Okay, cool. What about like when you get out for a weekend? If you're growing up in Fraser Lake, I imagine there's a lot of outdoor stuff, rivers and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, tons.
Yeah. What do you like to do when you're out kind of just chilling on, say, a river, camping?
Camping, yeah. Well, I same kind of thing. Like I will try to give myself a little bit of a break, but I like to keep pretty busy even just on my days off. So if I'm out fishing or swimming or hiking or all of the above, pretty much, I'll go and do all of that with my family, and it's a really, really fun time.
Yeah. Let's take a bit of a segue, because I know a little bit about Fraser Lake. I know it's really nice there. Yeah. But you grew up there. Were you born there?
Well, I was born in Prince George, because babies, I don't think they have a space for that in Fraser Lake, so my parents drove into Prince. But from day one till I was graduated, I lived in Fraser Lake.
Graduated?
Fraser Lake, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, from high school.
So like high school, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to talk about that a bit? I'd like to hear just
like,
growing up, like what it was like growing up in a small town, right?
Yeah, it's a really small town. I think that Fraser Lake's town population is somewhere around 800, and then if you include the surrounding communities, it's around 2,500 people, so very small. Wow. It's still considered a village, so it's tiny. Yeah.
So what's it like for activities and things to do for people?
Well, you have a pretty close-knit group of friends, because there's just not really anybody there. I think I graduated with 22 other people, so you get really close with your friends in the town, and then I think sports was the big thing. Like, there's not a crazy, you can't really go to a mall, and you can't go and do things that you get to do in the urban centers, so there was a lot of really good athletes that came out of Fraser Lake, just high school sports. So that was what we spent most of our time doing, was just volleyball, basketball, soccer, track. And that was kind of what took at least most of my time up. And then, you'd go boating and fishing and all of that stuff too.
Yeah. I grew up in Quesnel. And so Quesnel being a small town as well, I think it was, they said around 12 or 15,000 when I lived there, growing up there, right? Mm-hmm. Graduated high school there. And it was the same sort of thing, like kind of the guys would get together, and there was Cottonwood River that we would go out to and just kind of like hang out, on the weekends and just not really do anything, just kind of throw rocks in the water. And occasionally somebody would, their uncle would show up, and you'd have a pair of water skis in the back of the boat, and he'd take you up and down the river, and you'd do that a couple times. But yeah, the small little towns are definitely a different environment than like a bigger center like Prince George, where you can go to the mall in the winter, have a place to kind of wander and stay warm. Yeah. Whereas like for us in Quesnel, there was not really a lot of mall stuff to do for groups of kids. And so you were still out at the water. You're saying, who could get across the creek without breaking the ice? Right? Dumb little things like that. But it was always like outside, it seemed like, right? It was always outside activities, sometimes dangerous activities, getting into a little bit of trouble and stuff like that. And
Yep.
I imagine Fraser Lake was a lot the same, right?
Yep, it was exactly the same.
Exactly the same. Okay.
Yeah.
Right on. Cool. Well, you're in Prince George. You've graduated from Fraser Lake. You've come to Prince George. You would have been 17, 18 around that time probably.
Yeah, I think I was 19 because I took a year off in between and I just worked for the whole time. I worked at the sawmill in Fraser Lake, which is now since shut down. But in that time, I was just a stacker operator for about a year, which I think actually helped me decide to go back to school too, because I was not enjoying that environment. I don't know if it was maybe just, I think for me, I don't really like the rat race, like, the 9-to-5 job, the stuck in a production line or anything like that. That was definitely not something that I wanted to continue to do. So I think it was in that time that I had decided, let's go back to school and figure out what I actually want to do and what I'm good at.
Yeah. And then, so that's when you went to the college.
Yeah, and that was, went straight to the college and I spent 3 years at the college. And then I went to the university after that.
Nice. I was a stacker operator too in Quesnel.
Oh, really?
For a while, yeah.
At West Fraser too?
It was Weldwood at the time.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And then, West Fraser bought them.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, the West Fraser sawmill, it would have been known up until recently.
Yeah.
When it closed down as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, stacker operator was one of those jobs. That job actually, it's funny because I grew up in Quesnel. I had an interest in electronics, but I didn't know what I was doing with them. I used to go to Radio Shack and I'd buy batteries, LEDs, and make the light come on, right?
Yeah.
But I was working at the mill and operating the equipment, pushing buttons, and I thought that was awesome. I like pushing buttons. I don't know what, but I did that job for a whole summer because I was still in high school.
Yep.
Right? I did weekend cleanup, and then over the summer I got hired in production crew. Right. Then they built the new sawmill in Quesnel, and I can't remember if that was Weldwood or if it was West Fraser by then. It's probably West Fraser by then. But they were building the new mill in the new location, so they transferred me over there to help just do the spark watch type stuff with the welders. And there was a group of automation, an automation team that had come in, and they were doing all the programming for the equipment. And because I was there kind of just helping out, I got to watch them programming motors, and you push this button, that motor turns on, you push this button, the saw comes down. And I thought man, that is so cool. And then with my interest in electronics, it made me choose to take electronics here at the college. So I took a 2.5-year diploma program at the college, got my electronics diploma. Before I graduated, this automation company came to the college and they're like, hey, we want to hire a grad student for our company. And they interviewed us all. It was the company that I saw there when I was working, and they ended up hiring me. Yeah. So that kind of came full circle for me. I was kind of just hanging out with them, watching them do their stuff. 2.5 years later, they come back and they hire somebody, and it was the guy that was putting out sparks and stuff.
Totally serendipitous.
Yeah, crazy, eh?
Yeah, that's really cool.
Well, that's totally another small town thing, is these sawmill jobs, these sawmill companies, but by then now I'm in Prince George, and I'm now working for an automation company that's going out to all these mills. And I mean, I've been out. I haven't been to the Fraser Lake mill. Maybe I have, but I've been out to the mills when there were tons of mills in Houston and all along the way. Yeah. Down south, the Vavenby mills, and going through the Kootenays and stuff and checking those all out. And it was fun kind of seeing British Columbia from the resource point of view.
Yep.
Right. And then just kind of growing up in it and I don't know, I guess contributing to it in a way.
Yeah.
Whereas you were in service, contributing to business in the service industry, and then I'm kind of doing the same sort of thing from an industrial point of view, and it's kind of neat how everything just kind of comes together that way. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's all a part of the wheels.
All a part of the wheels, I guess. Yeah. Cool. What are your future plans?
Well, That's a good question. I kind of, right now, I'm continuing to roll with the things that are happening with the economy. Um, apparently not as many people are getting married anymore, which I haven't noticed that happening quite yet.
Yeah.
Maybe, we're slow to the party up north, but I'm going to continue in the wedding industry. And I think that a little bit more going forward, I'd like to transition into corporate, just because that's in my off season, so when it's not, the weddings and the event times between, June and October, the corporate side of things is when it really starts ramping up. And so I think we'll do some more big events. We actually did a couple of years ago, we did this week-long health and wellness event for Yikuche First Nations, which is just outside of Fort St. John or James. And they had it where they wanted, traditional dancers and, all these different people to come into their 100-person community and just make it all about wellness for a whole week. And I really enjoyed working with the First Nations community and, bringing stuff back to their hometown and making it a really fun experience for them. So that's something that I'd love to do more of as well. And then, First Nations events, and then also corporate stuff for the winter when things are a little bit slower for the bar and for the events.
Yeah. What does corporate stuff look like?
I think, the seminars, the conferences, if people are going to be doing, talk, they come in and have a speaker come in, or a seminar, all those things, just helping out with making sure those run smoothly, just like a wedding.
Oh, so you'd be on like the planning side of the seminar, yeah.
Yeah.
What about like, being a speaker at one of these events and kind of like the encouraging motivational speaker, something like that? Is that something you could see yourself doing?
I can. I've gone to a couple, the LEAP conference, the women, I don't know what the acronym stands for, and I think they've actually stopped doing it since, but I went to that, I think, every year that they had it, which was, I think, for 4 years, maybe earlier, 2023, I'm not sure what the time frame was, but doing those and getting to hear the speakers that came in, that was actually really, really nice to see. And it gives you that extra bit of motivation. And I think that when I figure out a story that I think is good to share with people, I'd love to be at one of those events and have people have the same kind of reaction that I was able to get, the inspiring stories behind all of the business. And I think I'd love to do that for someone else the same way.
Yeah, cool. And so with the corporate events, so your champagne events isn't just weddings then, or?
No, we do pretty much any kind of events that people want support with. We've done a baby expo. I actually this is our second year running the Champagne Events Bridal Expo, which is for weddings, but we put together a show for wedding vendors in town to present their services to the brides that are getting married in the next couple of years. They come in, they get to book services then and there, and it's kind of a one-stop shop, and you don't really get that in Prince George very much. Lots of the businesses that are operated are out of their own home, so you meet them at a coffee shop, and so they get to go actually and do this show. And this year is our second year doing it. Last year we had fantastic success. We had over 300 brides that registered for the show, and I think around 1,500 people that came to the show in the 5 hours that it was happening. So we definitely wanted to do another one, and so we're doing another one in February, and we'll probably continue to do that for the next couple of years too. So planning stuff like that is also definitely within my wheelhouse. I like to do those things as well.
Yeah, what all goes on at that event?
Well, we pretty much have every vendor that you can think to hire come into the space. We've got catering, photography, venues come in. Our services are always there too. Yeah. And then, there's a dress shop that comes in, and you can actually go and get fitted for dresses and see if you like them. I have live musicians that come. You can book those for your ceremony or reception. And then there's a bunch of just really unique services that are also there as well. If people want a decorator to come in, or to have a tattoo bar at their wedding, or even to
What?
book. Yeah, lots of people are doing that now too. And then, there's everything. Like pretty much anything that a bride would want to have at her wedding, from like flowers to drinks to literally anything. We've got it at our show, and they can talk to those vendors and book the services even there.
Okay. No way I'm the only one wondering this, but tattoo bar, you're talking like sticker tattoos.
No, you can actually get a tattoo at a wedding.
What?
Yeah.
For real?
Oh, totally. People are starting to do it a lot more now. Nothing crazy. You're not going to get a full sleeve or anything at the dinner, but you can get little smaller tattoos, and you can even just line up and get a tattoo and go back to dancing.
What?
That's pretty cool.
How long does that take?
Well, it really depends on what the people are offering, but some tattoo artists do it in like 10, 15 minutes and then
No
move on to
way.
the next. Yeah.
Really? Wow. Okay, that's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
When you said that, I'm like, it's got to be just kids come up and they put a butterfly on their arm and then they go.
No, a little more
Wow.
permanent than that.
So that's something that probably now is something that's going to be tied to that event, like going to that wedding. Oh, this was my aunt and uncle when they got married,
Yeah.
or
Yeah, it
that's-
can be.
That's a neat idea. Mm-hmm. Wow.
And there's lots of stuff like that at the show. Like people, you can have a tattoo bar, or you can have other really unique services that come in. Live painters is a really cool one. Just an artist that'll come in and do a portrait. You stand in front of them, not quite a caricature or anything, but do a picture of you guys, give you the picture, onto the next too. Like there's lots of really customizable things that are starting to become more popular with social media. And so lots of those services are actually at our show too.
I guess a lot of that kind of stuff makes like a wedding more special, or an event more special. Yeah. Can't remember the event that I was at, but they were doing. Oh, it was an evening in India. It was the I can't remember what they call it, but
Henna.
Henna, yeah. They do the hand painting, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was really neat. And there was a huge lineup the whole night. Yep. Basically, they were getting that done, and I think there were 2 people doing it. And yeah, by the end of the night, you saw everybody out on the dance floor, and their hands were all painted up, and it was so that same sort of thing they do at the wedding.
Yeah.
And then everybody kind of just has that little, I don't know. I guess that's a little memory of the night.
Yeah, something fun that you can do while you're there. It's a little bit more than just dancing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really neat. A wedding that I was at, the last wedding I was at, they had a food truck showed up, and it was a grilled cheese only.
Nice.
Right? Isn't that neat?
Yeah, that's really fun.
Yeah. Are there, like, you had mentioned you had ideas for the future, and you didn't want to say any of those things. But when you hear ideas, when you see those ideas of like a tattoo bar or paintings or like a grilled cheese truck, is that the kind of stuff that inspires those ideas in you?
Yeah, like I do really like seeing the unique things that people bring to the community, and when I see those, it brings ideas my way. I definitely like playing off of those ideas, but I think that everyone has their individuality with stuff, and I don't want to copy and paste different things that are already being done. So I see those and I'm like, okay, this is cool. They could do this a little differently. Maybe I'll do something kind of adjacent, but I do definitely get some inspiration from those really unique ideas that are presented in the community.
Yeah. Are there any things that you've seen that you've never seen before? Like when you mentioned the tattoo bar, I never seen anything like that, and I couldn't even imagine it. Other things like that?
Kind of. There was actually, like, I get a lot of people that send me stuff on like social media and say, oh, this is really cool, you should do this for the bar. And I have one thing that that I haven't talked, nobody really knows is happening yet, but we actually, the canisters that you can put on your back at like a baseball game or something, and they like shoot out, those like guns.
T-shirts?
Yeah, like a t-shirt gun type thing. So I bought one of these sleeves, and it's a backpack sleeve that I'm going to be putting cocktails into, and then you can like go around at the wedding and like fill up people's cups at the tables, and like people can come and have a shot from the machine. So that's something that I saw a friend shared it with me, and I was like, oh, I need to get one of those because we're the only ones in town that is going to have that.
Yeah.
And so seeing that, and then shortly thereafter getting that, and now offering it as a service is something that I was like, yeah, let's do it. Just make it more unique and more fun and more memorable, right?
Yeah, that's neat. The last wedding I was at was in Langley, and the couple, they had a flower girl, but it was a guy, and he was a grown man. Not grown like my age. I mean, like 20 years old,
Yeah.
probably. But so he comes down the aisle, and everybody's kind of like, that's different, right? And he's dropping flowers, and then he starts pulling bottles out of his
Beers, yeah.
yeah, and handing them to people, and everybody was like, oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And that just livened everybody up, right? Because it was funny because I was in behind and I was watching everybody just as he started walking down, and you could see people going like, wait, this isn't normal. This is
Yeah.
different, right? And he's dropping the flower petals, and then the bottles came out, and everybody was like, ah, of course. And
Yeah.
then you kind of think the couple who's getting married, yeah, that makes sense now.
Right. Yeah, I've seen lots of people. They call them beer boys now. That's one of the things that happens a lot. We actually did a wedding this summer in Quesnel, and they had a beer donkey. So there was a donkey that showed up halfway through the reception, and it had a bag or a bucket of beers and coolers and stuff on its back, and then people were coming and grabbing the coolers from the donkey.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's kind of one of those things where it's like, what's going on?
Yeah, exactly.
But
exactly.
cool.
Yeah.
Fun, right?
Yeah, who would expect a donkey at a wedding? That's kind of like, not the typical,
No,
yeah,
no, but it was neat. It was fun.
yeah. What else are kind of people doing nowadays?
I think that there's quite a bit of a transition from, the traditional wedding layout to just customizing everything for your day for you. A lot of people are doing a lot more social media inspired things. So there's a lot of content that goes into weddings now where people are doing like TikToks and putting social media into the forefront of things. So I'm seeing quite a few more trends that get pulled out from that, whether it's, the customizable little things that you can do like the tattoo bar, or even just how they structure the day to kind of fit along those same guidelines of social media inspired stuff. That's a big one that's coming out a lot.
Yeah. Do you find weddings now are they more of like an event as opposed to like a traditional wedding? Like, yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is that turning it into an event. It's not so much focused on like the marriage component and what a traditional wedding is, to tie families together and to celebrate the love. It is still to an extent that, but I think a lot more of it is to make it a really memorable event that everyone enjoys being at. That's the big thing.
Yeah, I like seeing when people kind of bring stuff and they make it their own. Like my wedding, we didn't do the wedding cake. We did pie, and it was in October, so we did kind of like Thanksgiving style pumpkin pies, and our centerpieces were pumpkins, and they had the flowers in them and everything, and they were kind of all the theme of the time of year, right?
Yeah.
And then one really interesting wedding that I was at was in Saminar, and they did like a whole tea ceremony.
We were at that wedding together.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, I remember that one too.
Yeah, so that tea ceremony, because she, it was the Asian culture kind of blending in, and that was really neat. And it was, what I really liked about that was having the family there, and then the respect that was shown, right? The serving of the tea had a meaning, and maybe you could be able to explain it better, but serving the tea, or having the couple that was getting married serving the tea to the family was kind of like the joining of the families together, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It was a respect and a family joining, and there was a lot of meaning that comes from the shared culture, and just a beautiful kind of celebration.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing I like to see is kind of bringing the different cultures together, the families together, and just having something that's kind of unique and stands out, right?
Exactly that.
Yeah, yeah. So I want to give you a chance to talk about something that's interesting to you. I mean, you've got your businesses; they're successful, and we've been talking for nearly an hour. What's something that's kind of unique about you, about yourself, that somebody might not quite know? I'm gonna put you on the spot here and say,
I don't know. Like I think that I this is hard. That's a
Yeah.
good question.
it's a hard question to think about. Yeah.
I don't know. I think that for what it's worth, everything that that brought me to where I am now was just finding the passion that I've got for business and running a business. And I didn't realize in high school, not being super interested in school and academics and everything didn't mean that I wasn't going to be successful growing up. I wasn't a straight A student. I wasn't someone that tried very hard with classes or anything, and I just kind of thought that meant I was gonna be like a subpar citizen and whatever that meant. And then as I got a little bit older, and I think the big turning point was when I got to the college and realized that the academics, it's not necessarily that I didn't like social studies or English. It was just that I wasn't learning things that actually like excited me and made me hopeful for the future and what I could turn that into. And so I think a big thing for me was, and for anybody else who's maybe not super, caring about how they're doing in school, or that they don't have a passion yet, it doesn't mean that it's not coming. It means that you just have to look a little harder to find it, or wait for that moment where it's going to all of a sudden show up and you realize you're having that light bulb moment and everything's starting to kind of connect. And I think that happened for me when I opened up to the idea of, what possibilities are around. So maybe that's my thing is don't stress if you're not doing well in school or haven't found your passion yet. It just means that it's still coming and might take a while to get there. I've seen lots of videos about billionaires or millionaires that didn't find out what they wanted to do until like their 60s, and then all of a sudden 65 they've got this insane business that has generated them millions and millions of dollars. It doesn't mean it's not happening, it just means it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, and a lot of that comes down to being willing to take a risk too. And like at 21 you started your first business. Like, that's a huge risk. Wow. Were you terrified, or were you just ready to do it?
I was just ready to do it. I think that was part of the finding the passion. Was I knew that I'm passionate about this. There's no way that it's going to fail because I'm not going to let it fail. And if it does fail, it just means that I'm going to make it happen again and again and again until it doesn't fail. And maybe it's the 100th time that I've tried to do it, but it's that time that it sticks and it happens because I want it to happen.
That's a good attitude. I never had that attitude when I started my business. I was terrified.
Yeah.
I had gotten laid off from my job, and I was at home, and I remember thinking I've got a wife, planning on having a family, and I'm getting laid off. So what do I do? And I had this opportunity, and I was told actually, you should start a business. And it was in the automation industry, but it was something that was totally different. Like, it was writing computer software. It was go from what you've learned in automation, and you should focus on the software aspect of it. And I thought, yeah, I could probably do that. I ended up doing it, but man, was I ever scared. But I didn't have that mindset that you're saying you had, where I'm gonna just make it happen. I was like, I sure hope this works.
Yeah.
Right? That was my attitude towards it. And I was able to make it work, and maybe I did kind of push it in the way that you're saying. But yeah, it was a terrifying feeling, and it was really scary, but I also had somebody else that, had to depend on me as well, and it wasn't just me, making a decision, right? It was kind of us making a decision.
Yeah.
So maybe it was a little tougher that way. But yeah, I like your attitude. You're a get her done, go do it, and the confidence that
Yeah.
that you'll just make it happen, right? Mm-hmm. And I guess at 21 years old, you had come out of college, so you were already done school, right?
Yeah, I
Or-
think I had finished my class, and then the next month I'd started the business already.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that was business administration. So that was
Yeah.
yeah. So that had kind of given you the tools to start that business and know that you were gonna. Did that give you the confidence to know that it was going to be successful then?
See, the first business was the one with my husband before I started my business, and then boyfriend years ago, but he had the skill set and I had the knowledge. So pairing
Okay.
together was kind of just that perfect recipe because he already knew what he was doing and I knew what I was doing, but what we were missing was what each other could offer. And so I think having a partner in it also made me just that much more blindly confident that it was going to work because I knew that he was going to make it work and I was going to make it work. And then, regardless, it was just going to happen.
Yeah. Okay. Good attitude.
Yeah.
And to have that support too.
Yeah,
That's
that was a
huge.
big thing.
Yeah. What would you say to like a young lady, 21 years old, who might come to you one day and say, "Hey, I'm thinking about doing this business." Would you give them the advice of like the blind confidence, or would you tell them to kind of think about it a little more than you did?
I think I would gauge their passion, and if they've got that same like this is gonna work no matter what, then I'd say go for it. And if they are a little more reserved, or like you said, just how you were with being not sure but hopeful and just scared, just the level of research and effort that you put into it, like regardless of how you come into it with your mindset, also having the backup, or not even a backup plan but just the plan. I made a business plan for every business that I started. I had 20-page business plans that I looked over and I made sure that everything looked good, and that was kind of my Bible for how I was going to at least start things. And if it didn't work out, I'd pivot. But just to have that too made a big difference in, okay, this is next step. This is next step. This didn't work. Let's try this. So I'd probably tell that 21-year-old girl to make a plan and go off of the plan. And if things don't work, continue to try for it, but just to make those adjustments that you need to make until it really does work.
So basically, you're saying you were built for this because you were planning stuff like that before you became a planner.
Yeah,
So,
it all kind of ties in together, I guess.
Yeah, great. Hey, Kyndra, if somebody wants to reach out and get in touch with you, how can they do that?
Well, our best spot to connect with me is probably our website. And you can find us at www.worthashotm as in mobile, b as in bar.com. And then our social media is really active too. We've got Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and we've got separate accounts for all of our businesses. So Champagne Events is the coordination, and then Worth a Shot Mobile Bar is the bar. And you can find us under those usernames on all of those platforms as well.
Sounds good. Okay. Thanks a lot, Kyndra.
Yeah, thank you.
Great chatting with you.
Thank you.
All right.